Welcome to the League of Women Voters Wake County Virtual Candidate Forum for the Board of Education. The League is proud to support voter education and to continue our long history of hosting candidate forums. The Wake County Board of Education is the local governing body of the Wake County Public School System. It is the largest school district in North Carolina and the 15th largest in the United States. It serves a very diverse student body and has improved its graduation rate so that almost 90% graduate from high school. Its 9 members are currently elected from several separate county districts. Each member represents that district within the entire board and is elected by the residents of that district. All candidates are nonpartisan, meaning they are not running as representatives of a political party. The school board sets policy for the school system implemented by the superintendent and administrative staff. The board also adopts an annual budget proposal that includes its request for local funding from the Wake County Board of Commissioners, as well as its plan for using state and federal funds. The school board does not have taxing authority. Today we welcome candidates for District 2, Gregory Hahn and Monica Johnson-Hostler. I spoke to Dorian Hamilton this morning and she is unable to join us, but her information will be up on vote411.org. District 2 is in the southeast corner of Wake County, encompassing parts of Fuquay, Varina, and Garner. All candidates live in District 2. Welcome, Gregory and Monica. Thank you for joining us today. We will ask every candidate for the Board of Education the same questions. The questions will cover a range of issues relevant to the scope of the board. I'd like to verify with you that neither of you have received these questions in advance.
I'm not.
No, thank you. You may now have 2 minutes for an introductory statement. Greg, you may go first.
Sure. My name is Greg Hahn. I'm running for District 2 in Wake County. I'm a Navy veteran, served my country for 4 years in Washington, D.C. 2 of those years, I was an honor guard, so I did funerals in Arlington, did White House ceremonies, Pentagon arrivals, and then I worked for the Joint Chiefs of Staff and the Pentagon. Then I got involved with political campaigns shortly thereafter, from presidential all the way through campaign manager for lieutenant governor up in Vermont. I'm originally from New England. After that, I got involved in sales, and in sales, I think has taught me a lot of things about underperforming territories, how to reevaluate, how to audit, how to go in there and look at what's working, what's not working. And I've applied that skill set with various jobs that I've had in various sales positions. I do have 4 children, 4 boys. They've all gone through the public school system. My oldest, who is now 22, went through, graduated Hunt High School in Wilson County. I moved out to Fuquay about 4 years ago. I've got 2 in high school now. My second oldest graduated from Fuquay High, and I've got a junior and sophomore in Fuquay High. And I'm running because I believe that there is need for improvement. I've had 2 children with IEPs. I've gone through multiple school districts, and I'm looking to really work with parents. I think parents have lost their trust with the Board of Education, and I think they need more of a voice on that board. And along with giving the teachers resources and listening to the teachers as well, so we can collaborate together to figure out what's the best way for our children.
Thank you. Monica.
Thank you very much. My name is Monica Johnson-Hostler, and I am running for re-election to represent District 2 on the Wake County School Board. I've served and ran campaigns in District 2 for the last 3 cycles, and I have served as the executive director of the North Carolina Coalition Against Sexual Assault for the last 22 years. In that role, I've been executive director for 18 years, and on the school board, I served as chair for 2 years, vice chair for 1 year. I do believe, just as I did in 2013, that my why remains the same. I continue to be engaged in the public school system because it is truly the cornerstone that changed my life as a young African-American daughter of a single parent working in a manufacturing town in Thomasville, North Carolina. The thing that I knew to be true is that many parents like mine didn't have the time or energy, or as well as the trauma with school of themselves, to be completely engaged. My mother and my family did the best that they could to be engaged in school. And what I know to be true is, although their engagement wasn't PTA chair, but the engagement truly made a difference in my experience as a public education graduate. I'm also the wife of a public high school teacher. My husband teaches at Sanderson High School. He has been teaching in the Wake County Public School for the last 15 years, and prior to that taught in the district that we lived in, again, a North Carolina small community school district. My daughter is in the 10th grade as well in the Wake County Public School system. And so my investment in the public school system is full circle as a parent, as a wife, and as a school board member. What I know to be true is that parents absolutely are a part of our school district, just as our students, educators, administrators, and our community. Wake County is a school system that is the largest in the state of North Carolina. However, an unknown fact for most people is that the majority of our people in Wake County are not parents and don't have students any longer in our public school district. And so when I ran in 2013, I specifically spoke to parents about their engagement and what they need to feel a part of this district. What I've learned then is that there are parents of former students of Wake County Public Schools, business owners and the like, that are committed to Wake County Public Schools. To sum that up is what I can truly say to you as a parent, a wife, and a current school board member is Wake County, without a doubt, has a huge investment community-wide.
Thank you.
Even when we disagree, we are the best choice for all parents. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, now we're going to move to the questions portion of the forum. Beyond the technology funding that the CARES Act has already provided, what policies, procedures, and strategies would you implement to improve equity across students, to close achievement gaps that have the harmful effect on children of color, economically disadvantaged students, students with disabilities, and English language learners? Monica, you may go first.
Absolutely. So when you speak to policies, one of the things that I often remind people is we have what are policies that that the school board as a committee of 9, a team of 9 pass. And then we also have the policies from our state government and our federal government that govern our public school system. I certainly do agree with you that technology is one piece of that. And I would say technology isn't just devices, but technology is also teaching and preparing our students for a global future. But truly to impact the student achievement gap, and certainly that's the case, unfortunately, as a student of color and a student who is disadvantaged in this in the public school system, that's across the globe that we see that as an issue. And certainly what we do know to be true is Wake County still needs to pass as a district an equity policy. That is not something that this board has completely agreed on, contrary to popular belief, but we truly all agree that equity is paramount. The other piece that we've talked about in addition to policy is creating policies about what we do with creating diversity in our public schools and what do we do to achieve that diversity. And when I say diversity, that's not just race or class, but it's also learning ability, and it's really broadening what we know to be exposure is another tool for learning. The last piece that I would add to that around equity is also ensuring that in our public schools that we are actually looking at ensuring that our teachers are equipped with the informational resources and professional development that they need as well, which as we have continued to have budget cuts from our state, that's one of the places that we've really missed the opportunity to enhance public education for all students in Wake County.
Thank you. Greg?
Yeah, I think when it comes to equity technology, I want to make sure that the technology doesn't replace the hands-on training and the education that the teachers are there for. Sometimes we rely too much on technology and it's a crutch. The good news, Education Week actually ranked North Carolina as a B in equity. So I think we're making strides in that category. But at the same time, I want to make sure that the outcome doesn't trump the equal treatment in order to get to the ultimate goal. So we live in America, we live in a country where there's ability, there's opportunity for everyone, no matter what your background is, no matter what color, race, religion. there's an opportunity for everyone. And I think every parent wants to know that once their children are graduating, that they are ready to be successful. It doesn't have to be at a university or a college. You know, we got trade schools that, you know, everyone learns differently. As long as they're an opportunity and they're ready, not just focusing on graduation rates, but making sure that they are actually ready to deal with the real world.
Thank you. Okay, question 2. School systems across the state and country are struggling to develop educational plans in response to the ever-changing nature of the pandemic. Do you expect the post-pandemic school system to be less dependent on physical structures and staff and still be able to serve students well? Gregory, you may go first.
Yeah, this is on everyone's mind right now. As a parent, I know for a fact that my 2 kids right now, they're struggling. They're trying to get adjusted to the new normal, I guess, if you want to say that. But I also believe that the CDC and American Academy of Pediatrics have also said that it's more harm than good for children to stay at home. We've seen a rise in suicide, drug abuse, mental abuse, domestic abuse. It's going to be more harm than good. So I think, as there's only so many things that the county can control. Obviously, Roy Cooper said that Plan B should be it, but Wake County decided to do all virtual. I don't know. I don't think this is going to be right or healthy for the children if we don't go back. I think we need to really look at the data and the science behind it, because there is more harm than good. We saw it in the spring. We see it now. Children need to be back hands-on in the physical classroom.
Thank you. Monica?
Without a shadow of a doubt, I'm married to an educator, and I've had the great opportunity for the last week to listen to my husband teach virtually and my daughter learn virtually. And there's no doubt about it that all 3 of us, parent, teacher, and student, completely agree that in-person is the best opportunity for all learning for all students. I certainly do believe that in North Carolina and globally that we will see a true change in what we know to be the public education institution, which includes whether we are using brick and mortar buildings. But I can also certainly tell you that we have a disparate opinions of parents across the district, as we did across the state, and the science is just as varied and disparate. As you know, Governor Cooper agreed that we should start at Plan B. And then after we started to see in summer camps, young people actually contracting and spreading COVID-19, which we didn't have the data and science to support that initially when Wake County, like all districts in North Carolina, went to Plan B. And what we know to be true is actually after we had the data to see that young students were contracting and spreading the virus, that we actually moved like more than 80+%. Actually, I think it's closer to over 95% of our students in North Carolina are now learning virtually. We are certainly committed to returning our students into the building. Again, I have an advocate right here in my house to return our students to the building, but I do believe that we'll see a difference. We will see families that see this as a way that's better for their students in multiple ways. But what I also believe to be true is this is an opportunity for our educators who didn't go to undergraduate or even their master's to learn how to teach online, back to professional development. What we did or were able to do this summer is watch teachers teach themselves. And so while I certainly don't agree that we'll be moving to completely virtual anytime soon, I certainly think there are lessons that we've learned, which is tools that we can use. And I, you know, when we say tools, we don't just mean computers and devices, but we also mean tools such as applications that students who may need the text written at the bottom to actually enhance their learning. There's certainly, I think, methods like that that we will certainly learn and glean and take into the next generation of public education. But I, for one, hope that we'll continue to have brick and mortar education in person.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to question 3. Racial inequity and the often resulting school to prison pipeline has been a long-standing problem in our schools, and there have been many strategies used to address it. The presence of law enforcement in the schools has become a recent flashpoint, at least pre-pandemic. Do you think it's time to reevaluate the use of school resource officers in the public schools? Do you have any recommendations? Monica, you may go first, please.
Thank you. I certainly do believe that it's time for us to reevaluate not just whether they're in our schools, but who is in our schools, what they're responsible for. So that means what do their descriptions say? What's their role in the building? And I certainly do think that that's something that has to be done in conjunction with our entire community. I'm sure everyone knows as a part of that flashpoint is we have multiple student groups. I was with a group of students last week, which contrary to popular belief, those students on, again, just like when we talk about where people believe that we should be, whether we're in school right now or at home, there is diversity across the board on what people believe. And I certainly believe that the way that, and I said this as chair of the school board, the best decision making that anyone makes is the ability to hear every single data point and every single opinion. Many of us make decisions based on one or the other and not both. And by that, I mean, we often listen to the people who share our similar values and are a part of our communities. But that's not been the way that I've operated on the school board, and I won't operate that way moving forward. I certainly believe that law enforcement have a role in our community, but what that looks like in our school, I do believe needs to be evaluated. Law enforcement officers in our school building should not be responsible for discipline. They should not be the first responder for discipline either. That responsibility belongs to our educators and administrators. And so I think it's certainly time for all of the stakeholders, including administrators, educators, students, law enforcement, and our community at large to really talk through what does that look like in our school building. And certainly I've spent the entire summer meeting with students, again, all stakeholders, to talk about what that looks like and really have a lot of great options from community members who've looked at what this looks like across our country, what this looks like globally, and also the experiences of all those stakeholders in our school building. So I do believe the thing that the pandemic has given us is the opportunity to explore all of those options.
Thank you very much. Greg.
Yeah, well, I believe safety is crucial for all faculty in the schools as far as our children goes. I want to, as a parent, I want to make sure that they're saved. Just like anything, I think we need to look at the process and not the end result of what's going on in the schools. Governor Cooper had a safety committee, and there was a survey done last year that only 10% of teachers weren't favored for SROs in schools. In fact, some of them wanted to increase at least 2 or more in our high schools. So they should not be disciplining the first person of discipline, but they're there to keep order in the school. We need to hold people accountable for bad behavior. It doesn't matter who you are. Children make mistakes, and we need to work with our children to make sure that they understand that mistake and that they don't repeat the mistake again. But yeah, I'm in favor of keeping SROs in our school. I think they're the first line of defense. If there is an active shooter, that's why they were created in the first place with all the mass shootings across the country. Teachers are still uncomfortable with carrying weapons and firearms. They're not trained to do so. Our law enforcement is. So I also want to, echo de Blasio and Mayor Lightfoot. I don't agree with them on a lot of stuff, but I do agree with what they've recently said, that in order to keep public safety in our schools, they support the local law enforcement. So I'm for it. And yes, can we improve on different things? We can improve on a lot of things. We just can't just pull the trigger and make rash decisions over it.
Thank you. All right, moving on to question 4. Parents in Wake County have many options for educating their children. Should the Wake County public school system and the leadership of the school board choose to coexist with these options, or should they focus on trying to create a public school system that is equally attractive and serves all students and all families in Wake County? Greg, you may go first.
Yeah, this is huge. In 2011, Wake County attributed to 82% of all students in the education. Now it's down to 70, I think 77 in 2020. We'll find out more of the concrete numbers at the end of this school year. But so in sales, if I'm losing my customer base to my competitor, I have to reevaluate what my product is, listening to customer service, and listening to my customers of what they want. So parents from 2011 to 2020 are removing their children to go to homeschooling or private schools or other education. Then we have to, I want to make sure that teachers that teach in Wake County love it so much that they recruit and hire other teachers into to work in Wake County and to teach in Wake County. We need to attract talent. We need to reward teacher behavior as well and performance. When I'm in sales, when I have a salesperson recruit and refer their colleague to come work for their company, then you know you're doing something right. I think there's opportunity there to really look at what Wake County is doing right and a lot of things that we can improve on to attract the best talent so the parents know their children are getting the best education and worth their investment. You know, money is not always the answer. Bug Elementary is $13,995 per student and then the worst performing in the state, in the county, I mean. So it's that money doesn't solve all issues.
Thank you, Monica.
Thank you very much. So what we know to be true is competition is a very real thing. What we also simultaneously know to be true is the public school system is not in sales. They don't market, they never have. And what this board has decided to do after we actually started to look at, quite frankly, the steady number that we were holding of our market share is to look at, which included for us speaking to parents, speaking to community stakeholders, about the reasons why they were moving their kids from K-5, which is the space that we see the most of our market share leaving our public school district. What we also know to be true is we actually see a huge transition back into our public schools for 9th to 12th. We gained a lot of information in talking to not just the families, but also looking at what and who they were leaving the public school system to go to. And what we heard was smaller class size and things that truly are very different in Wake County. 20 years ago, we were not the largest school district in the state. We were not building schools. And I contribute that to Wake County being one of the best counties to live in. Quite frankly, they say it's the best county to live in the state of North Carolina. And so the number and influx certainly brought people to our state that were not from North Carolina, and certainly not, like most North Carolinians like myself, committed to the public school system. We've been able to actually really change that and really look at what public schools' role is in marketing ourselves to community members, recognizing for the first time, quite frankly, in the last decade, that public schools are truly at a place where we have to describe what's happening in the building. And I certainly say that as someone who's been to more than half in the building during the day with our students, our families, and our educators to see what's happening in that building. And what I can tell you is the number of parents that I've personally talked to in District 2 to move them back from homeschool. District 2 actually had more homeschools than we did people leaving us for charter schools. And there are several families who, once they came into the building, were able to remove the stigma and stereotype that were attached to a flashpoint in time, which is a grade that the state has placed on our schools. And there's nothing like being in the building to experience what's happening. And I really think that's our way forward, is to balance how do we bring people and expose them to what's happening in our public school systems. And I certainly still believe that Wake County Public Schools is the best choice.
Thank you. All right, this is going to be our last question. Do you support ongoing efforts to adjust the curriculum to reflect current concerns facing our community? Recently, there's been the addition of a financial literacy component within the high school social studies program. Other groups would like to see the addition of civics and government or contact related to systemic racism introduced into the coursework. How should the school board address these concerns? Monica, you may go first.
Thank you. So I certainly would like to believe that the way that our public school system works in North Carolina, we're one of 8 states where all of those directions come from our State Board of Education. So I certainly would like to see our State Board of Education take into consideration, prior to there being legislation, which is the process that currently works, other than, as you know, financial literacy went straight through the General Assembly, and then for public schools to actually implement. So I would like to see the State Board of Education engage in those conversations with the stakeholders of public schools in our community. I think it's important to hear what's happening in our schools. We have teachers who came forward and testified in the General Assembly around financial literacy in ways that it could fit in the curriculum. We have people that have testified before the state board talking about the importance, if not now, then when do we talk about the true, complete culture and history of our country. And we certainly in Wake County have heard that from our Native American students who don't hear that in their history classes. I, again, have a daughter who's in high school and got to sit through her civics class with her because it was last year, she was in 9th grade. And I certainly do believe that we're addressing some of those topics, but I'd really like to see North Carolina educators and stakeholders like school board members really talk through where are we leaving our kids behind globally without providing not just our historical context of our country, but the history that we're currently making, and how do we engage that in our public schools in the most comprehensive way that is taught across the state. Because what happens in Wake County as our largest school district can set a tone, but I do believe that the tone should be set statewide to really look at how do we institute current events as a part of our education as well. So I certainly believe that those things are important to explore and ensure that we're not overburdening our curriculum or our teachers, but doing it in the way that makes sense in curriculums that already exist.
Thank you, Monica. Greg.
Yeah, I think with Wake County being the largest school district in the state, I think we can be a leader and not waiting on the School Board of Education to make decisions as well. But I think we could put together parameters in place. I'm in favor of curriculum that unites rather than divides. I'm also a firm believer in history. What's been taught from 1776 all the way up to the birth of this country, all the way from the Civil War to where we are now. Current events is huge, the way our history is taught. I also think that curriculum transparency is crucial for parents. You know, over the weekend, I was talking to several parents who weren't too happy with a school in Wake County that discussed what your religion was and what privileges you are. That was a questionnaire. So if that's the curriculum that we're going to be talking about, curriculum transparency has to be transparent. Parents have to have the ability to log in and look what their curriculum is, what their child's being taught. And again, we have to listen to what the parents want as well. So I think curriculum transparent, I'm all for curriculum transparency as far as making it, I'm for better versus bitter. And I think I'm for a curriculum that unites us as a nation. And I say this 100 years ago, and I meant to lead with this, you know, the 19th Amendment was passed, you know, with equality, with women voting. So we have made great strides in this country to bear where we are right now, and to have divisiveness infiltrate our schools there's no part of it right now.
Thank you. All right. Thank you, candidates, for coming today to participate in our virtual candidate forum. We recognize that running and serving an elected office is a considerable commitment of time, energy, and often sacrificed opportunities. The League, along with the residents of Wake County, is grateful that we have so many capable fellow citizens who are willing to step forward and serve the important duties as member of the Wake County Board of Education. We're now moving to the closing statements. You may each have 2 minutes. Gregory, you may go first.
Well, I appreciate this opportunity to run and to serve Wake County. I moved out to Wake County because it's a great county to live in. There's so many opportunities. I lived in Wilson County prior to this, and my kids were getting older, and there's more opportunity with band, with athletics. I've got 2 of my kids that are in high school that are enjoying it. Is there room for improvement? Yes, there's definitely room for improvement. There's definitely room for hearing parents' concerns, teachers' concerns, and uniting as one to get things together instead of creating a divisiveness that I see right now as a parent and as a resident in Wake County. So there's room for improvement. I'm here for the safety and the well-being of our children, and I'm hoping I can make a difference November 3rd.
Thank you. Monica.
Thank you very much to the League of Women Voters. I've had the great opportunity to participate in this forum, and thank you all for figuring out how to provide this information and perspectives to your audience virtually. I'd like to continue to be the voice on the Wake County School Board, holding the banner for issues that affect families in District 2. I will continue to amplify those voices of our parents in the school board decisions by continuing to host multiple community forums, not just in person as I've done in the past, including those that are called by parents, a group of 2 parents or 30 parents. When they want to talk about decisions that I've made at the board, I want to ensure that they hear, regardless of what the vote is, that they can hear their opinions and advocacy that they've shared with me at the board table. The beauty about being a school board member in District 2, one of our most diverse districts in the county for the last almost 7 years has truly been, for me, the accolades from those parents, even those parents who completely disagree with the decisions that I've made. Because what I hold true from 2013 to today is that I will continue to ask and listen to the concerns of parents. I will continue to work to improve the relationship between parents and the school. I will work hard to find ways the school board can strengthen the school to home connection and improve the quality and timeliness of communication to parents. I will continue to be the advocate on the school board to ensure quality education in all of our schools, parents have a voice, and teachers receive the support that they need, and all students have access to a high quality education. Thank you, and I certainly do appreciate everyone's vote on November 3rd and the recommitment to me being the voice for both our parents, students, and our community at large. Thank you again, Miriam.
Thank you. We close our forum now. Be sure to go to vote411.org to learn more about the candidates on your ballot and to learn the latest information on polling hours and locations. And we will be posting the recording of this and other candidate forums on that website. Thank you again for joining us.